Welcome to Ion Franchising, where you will learn the A to Z's of the world, which is unique because a lot of times in the show it pops up that we don't know how people end up in franchising. It just kind of happens. It's kind of like a lab accident gone wrong. He went to college for business and political science, and in college, he actually started in franchising. We're going to hear about that. But here's why this particular episode is going to be so wonderful. Typically, I'm talking to a lot of great brands, but there might be another great brand out there doing the same thing, like in the burger segment, for example. When Five Guys Burgers started franchising, people yawned and said, not another burger concept, and yet they were very successful. Well, today, I have the founder and CEO of a brand that is the absolute first of its kind in America for a business that is so needed. And you're going to hear about it now. Welcome, founder and CEO of Everline Coatings, my friend John Evans. Welcome, John.
Hey, Lance. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I am excited to hear all about Everline Coatings. And let's start with your parents. How did your parents get into franchising? What did they do? Because a lot of people listening, John, as you could imagine, are like, what is franchising? Is it right for me? Do I have to be rich? No, you don't have to be rich to own a franchise. We're going to hear about this essentially low investment about, with Everline and how you do things. So let's start with your parents.
Certainly. Yeah. So my father actually, he dropped out of Queen's University up in Ontario, Canada, because he was kind of a lot like me. I guess I inherited that trait there, where you have that itch to get out there, to go out and make your own claim. And this was in the 80s, where he actually met up with a very strong partner or salesperson, and he's a very strong back end type admin type person, kind of that visionary integrator type relationship, and all of that coming together. And he actually started up a skincare franchise. So this was back in the 80s when those home parties were huge, things like that. And so he bought out the Toronto, Ontario market there, and was able to launch it to great success. And just so happened that my mother was their top salesperson, and that old fashioned love story product. I'm a child of product of the 80s. That kind of thing.
Well, but you know what? I come from a very entrepreneurial family, and it's so easy when you as a kid get to see your parents growing up as entrepreneurs. It makes it easy for you because you don't want to be your own. You don't want to work for anybody else. You want to be your own boss like them.
Well, that's it. You grow up seeing, not even seeing that dynamic of them even having a boss, right? Just that wasn't a thing. And so now, that's really what I was used to. And then, it was a bit of a transition for myself, even, going to work, as a teenager, flipping burgers, things like that. I've worked in franchises, and, just having that, that entrepreneurial edge of, hey, I feel like I can make some changes here. I can, do some good here, but now I'm kind of forced into this really rigid environment here. And that was kind of the very beginning for me, just going down the road of entrepreneurship. And then, starting to, as I developed and grew as a youngster, I guess, in my formative years, that it was really kind of a combination of being able to see, myself, as an operator, as an actionable type entrepreneur, and also having that structure, that my parents were able to enjoy, and then kind of being able to combine those elements to be able to make it work there. And just kind of as the journey's gone on, it's just been stuck in that franchising space, which I'm so glad I am, because there's no greater industry.
So in college, how did you get into a franchise? It was a painting franchise or something?
Yeah. So it was one of those student painting franchises that there were, they trained, they had 1 year, 1 year term franchise agreements. It taught me kind of the basics of how to start a business here. But I had a friend back then where we were always competing as to who was going to be that greater, entrepreneurial business success. And she got into it first. And I was like, hey, hey, I need to do that too. And so I went and we competed there, and yeah, we ended up on top. But so it was a really great introduction to that world, because I mean, I went into it thinking I knew everything, and it was one of those things where it's just like, you know, I kind of got the reality being put into a 20-year-old me, where you know, just hey, running a business requires a lot of soft skills and hard skills too, and that was a great opportunity for me to really get a great foundation in running a
Love
business and in franchising.
All right. So where did Everline come from?
So right after I kind of outgrew the program with the painting franchise that was more for students. I went to a franchise show. I knew I wanted to run my own business, and I went on the hunt for a franchise actually. And so I was all walking through the booths, and I ran into a company that was not selling a franchise but licensing a durable type of traffic marking product. So coming from a franchise where I was dealing with paint, and then seeing something that was not quite a franchise, but it was still familiar to me. So I was 23 years old at the time.
Old
and,
man.
Oh yeah. And so I you know, and having, you know, had that training, having that background, that high performance nature to me there, I said, I feel like I could do something with this. And so that was the very beginning of it. You know, and it was kind of the conversation went to, this business is super fractured, super, like no leaders at all. And there's nobody really doing this on a grander scale. And so I originally started it with the idea of, this is just going to be a nice little business for my then girlfriend, now wife, you know, for us to grow together. But then as the business grew and doubling in revenue every year, doubling just as it went, then it kind of came down to the point where, hey, there's no reason why this can't be franchised. So I was able to tap into my previous experience as a franchisee, and of course, the son of franchisees, to be able to get a good start for something like that.
That's awesome. So let's talk about that. So the pivotal moment, seeing this particular brand that wasn't a franchise at the franchise show, which often happens. I mean, there's a lot of brands that are not franchises, dealer models and licensed models, and there's a place for all of them depending on, you know, what's going on. So did you become a dealer and then create the name Everline? I mean, tell me how this all came about, when the first Everline officially opened, and talk about the services. Because right now people are on the edge of their seats like, all right, first of its kind in America, what exactly do they do?
Absolutely. So, I mean, to begin with, Everline Coatings and Services, we're a parking lot line painting and pavement maintenance company. So everything that needs to get done in the parking lots and just in pavement, we service municipalities there as well. The lines need to be repainted every year. The cracks need to be filled. Asphalt potholes need to be filled. All that sort of stuff all needs to be done for commercial property managers and building asset owners and that sort of thing. And more or less how it got started, I became a dealer for this durable type of product, because I said, okay, I can go and start in this business and have a key differentiator product right out of the gate. And that was kind of my strategic play as we went. And then as that business grew, or as Everline Coatings grew right out of the gate, you know, I was starting to see a lot of common tropes that I was dealing with as a franchisee before, where there was really a major demand for professionalized service that focused on that professionalism, communication, credibility, and quality, and all of those things combined. So I started building all the systems for myself to use, because I was just used to having them. And then as we were growing, it was more or less, you know, we were solving a major problem locally. And then the idea of what would this look like if we started spreading to other cities, and if we had a single vendor solution for a lot of national clients, what would that look like? And that's where that journey began.
So talk about the growth. You started in Canada, and you have how many locations in Canada right now?
We have 20 in Canada right now.
And right now in the U.S., you started in the U.S. not too long ago. So what do you got going in the U.S. as of today?
We've struck a chord. We've been growing very fast. We're at about 55 franchise locations, like actual franchisees, and you know, over 100 territories, something like that.
Amazing, yeah. Because the average franchisee for something like this gets excited and probably is investing in more than one territory.
That's it. Yeah. So it's really about a land grab because I mean, with our location in Calgary, it has a population of about 1.5 million people or so, and they just get very excited about those item 19 numbers, and they just say, "Hey, I want that. I want that again."
Yep.
That
Yep.
sort of thing.
Well, and for those of you listening, John just mentioned a very key term, and when you investigate a franchise opportunity, there is going to be an FDD, a franchise disclosure document that will be given to you either after the very first phone call you have with the brand or potentially second phone call. And there are 23 items in all in all FDDs. Item 19 is the fun one, and that is the earnings claim, financial representations, and as John just referenced, there's some nice numbers in there. So you'll get to see that. And what do all you listeners get excited about? You get excited about knowing you have an opportunity to get involved in a very profitable business. So John, in the US, so who are you looking for? Let's talk about who you're looking for and what is the typical investment.
Certainly. So for who we're looking for, we've had franchisees from all walks of life come and join us on our journey. It's really, there's no experience necessary. Like, if you're listening and saying, I've never painted a line in my life, how could I possibly get into this or fill the pothole or whatever? I guarantee you've driven on our work in some way, shape, or form, that you've experienced it. You've been driving along and there's no parking stalls in the lot there. And you're like, it becomes chaos or you trip over a pothole or what have you. There's all sorts of that sort of stuff.
I think we're all familiar with parking lots for sure.
Yeah.
And about the only holes I've ever filled in is maybe on the beach with sand, but the ocean ruins that every day, so I don't know.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, it's something that is just it's a constant need, and we're really the first to stick a claim on just that overall pavement maintenance type program. But anyways, for who we're looking for, it's more about the values. We're a very value centric based company. So if you find if you're listening and you find yourself you're dedicated, you've demonstrated you're resourceful, you're integrity focused, you're value based, you're excelling, you're nourishing. We say that we're driven. You're going to be in great company as a great start. So I think just that type of mentality is the greater piece. But then on top of that, there's also just kind of what type of entrepreneur you want to be. And there's some entrepreneurs that that just say, I just want to just sit back and wait for the phone to ring. I sign me up for that. That sounds like a great one. But no, we're more looking for hunter type mentalities, those who are very strong in building relationships. Because with a lot of these property managers that we service, they are it's very much a relationship game where you are throwing your hat into the ring, being able to grow a long-standing relationship, and you're going to find that single client, they're going to grow and need more services, because a lot of these clients have 10, 20, 30 properties that they service, and you want to have Everline service all of them.
Yeah, love it. So what do you do investment wise? Well, actually, wait, before we get to the investment. So, people listening to this always are wondering, well, what do you mean you don't need experience in that industry? So for something like this, what is think of a couple of franchisees that when they joined, they probably said the exact same thing. In fact, most of them probably said the exact same thing. Well, what experience? I've never been in construction. I've never done any kind of paving. What walks of life did they come from? You probably have people that literally do everything.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, it's we've had people from all those different walks of life, those who are strong in operations, strong in, that they've, in their professional lives, they've managed people, got work done. You have others that are strong in sales and marketing, and just the way that we've set up all of our, I guess the way we gradually built the Everline system is that for people that have any of those skill sets can apply to those departments in their business, and then they can bring on employees or partners with our systems to fill in their personal gaps that they have for their business there.
Right. So the overarching theme, like you said already, is that you just want somebody that's hungry, that's going to build relationships, because we all know a business in the first year, that's always the hardest time. You're building something brand new. It's like having a baby.
Well, that's it. Right. And so one of those things where, when you're growing that business and you are, at the ground floor, building up those initial relationships, it's amazing to see how we've just seen it come together just by applying the system that we've developed. It's just, you just follow that, we've seen the results over and over and over again. So, I mean, as long as, if you can follow a recipe in a cookbook and apply a lot of your, the middle ground, I guess those soft skills and hard skills applied to it, then you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. And you know what, you alluded to the fact that there's obviously a very intricate system. You clearly have different benchmarks along the way. What somebody's supposed to be doing within the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. And if they're on track or not, which is the beautiful part about franchising.
Well, some feedback we've received actually with our recent expansion to the United States. I mean, they said, how on earth is this company so developed when you're not even here yet? And I said, we've been developing under the radar in Canada for the past 10 years. And now it's ready to rock. I mean, we just won the top brand in Canada for operational excellence and support. And we're applying that now to our US operations. And it's showing incredible results because the market is just so much better than it is in Canada. I'm sorry, Canada, but the US is where it's at.
I love it. Fabulous. Let's talk about investment.
Sure. So, I mean, you're looking at, about a sub $150,000 startup costs.
So under 150.
That's it.
And what do you get a little office? Walk us through soup to nuts, sort of.
Sure. So really what we like to do is we like to have our franchisees start as lean as possible while they're building up those relationships and that they're not, creating unnecessary expenses right out of the gate. We don't need anything flashy. It's all about practicality. So you start off, you can start off small in if you have a garage with a parking spot for a couple of trucks and trailers, you can start off in a storage unit or just even go straight out to getting a warehouse space, like just a single bay, something small, just to be able to get you started out with that there. It's a home office. Everything's digital. We have an extremely strong tech stack that allows our businesses to run with a lot of automation behind it so that the franchisees can focus on what matters, and that's making money through selling and production.
What about when it comes to equipment? Some people might be thinking, well, we're going to be painting, striping, filling holes. What about that equipment in particular? Is there specific proprietary vendors that you need to use to get that equipment?
No, so there's not proprietary vendors. This equipment exists. I mean, everywhere where there's a parking lot, it's being serviced. It's just about how it's being serviced, and that's what we're revolutionizing with the service or the experience we're able to provide through our technology and our systems. But it starts off really parking lot line stripers. Those are readily available. We're able to source them from preferred vendors, and every Everline franchisee gets them at a preferred cost. So, we make sure that the franchisees get a direct benefit by being with the Everline system. So the same goes through for line stripers, our infrared asphalt repair systems, our seal coating equipment, our crack filling equipment, all that sort of stuff. The franchisees get a direct advantage by being with us.
Got it. You mentioned property managers. What about government offices, county and city? They usually would use, I would imagine, large companies that have a tremendous amount of overhead. And here you are now bringing it local, so to speak, local in a small business fashion. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, there's for work that we can do, which is more municipal type detail work, painting the crosswalks and intersections, painting the arrows, the stop bars, filling in the potholes in those areas. We're actually really primed to be able to do those because we actually have the proprietary product that I initially bought the license to is now exclusive to Everline, and now we actually have a durable type of traffic marking system that these municipalities and government contracts need. So this is something that we're actually able to provide a much greater value proposition with something that a lot of those larger companies can't even touch. So it's something that that's really been an exciting element to our business model.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the selection process or the process in general. So once somebody starts the process with you, it's obviously a first phone call. get to know you. I always call it a coffee date. And as it progresses, you get the franchise disclosure document, kind of take it from there and talk a little bit about your validation process. And is there a meet the team day, discovery day, whatever you want to call it, and how you do all that?
Absolutely. So our process is being managed here by Franchise Fastlane, just an incredibly professional group of people that are assisting us with our growth, because there's there's a lot of experience that they bring to the table. But the really the way where it begins is really just like a no obligation, just introduction call. Really where you just get to learn. It's a top-down view of the business. It's just a slide deck that we go through, takes you through all the elements, and it answers, I'm sure a lot of people on this call have a lot of questions. It answers 90% of those questions right out of the gate, so that you have a really good idea of what you're dealing with, and that there's no smoke and mirrors, and you got to unlock the next form of information. It's all just up front. Here's what it is, that sort of thing. Then we dive into the next call after that. We dive into the unit economics. Really, how can I make money with this? How does the business model work? Then it goes into learning about the FTD, taking a deeper dive into that, and then at that time that we unlock these really exciting pieces here, which is the validation calls. So on every Monday we have a group call with a franchisee of Everline, where you can ask the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever you want. No holds barred for those types of questions.
And John, one of my favorite questions: would you do it over again?
Absolutely. And I'm proud to say on all of our surveys, we're at 100%. So we're very proud of that. But then the next on every Tuesday is actually a validation call with a member of the leadership team. So whether myself or VP of operations and field support or our COO, just for you to be able to answer or ask about, what type of national accounts do we have coming at us? What's the vision of the company? Like all sorts of different types of questions. So you kind of get both the perspectives of the franchisees that are on the front lines, and then you have the leadership team that are managing behind the scenes and driving the whole brand forward there. Then as you move on and we go down that process, then you get invited to what we call confirmation day, or some would call it discovery day. And that's where we get a chance to, you get a chance to really meet the team in person. We host it in Houston, Texas. So it's usually pretty good every year. It gets a little warm in July and August. So, dress down for that one. But there's, as we go on it, then after that, we get a chance to, break bread. You get a chance to paint some lines yourself, use all the equipment. We go for a nice dinner, and then we take you through a much deeper dive of what's under the hood, so that you can feel very confident and excited about that. Everything you've heard so far is true. And here we are. We're ready to rock from here.
How many discovery days are you doing these days?
We're doing one a month.
One a month. That's awesome.
Yep.
So you have so much interest. Franchise Fastlane's doing a great job for you.
They absolutely are. We're very pleased. It's been a really great for not only us, but also the candidates too, because they come so prepared. There's nobody that's going to come in, just really, not knowing what's going to happen next. Exactly what's going to happen next. They help prepare for that.
Hey, John, speaking of knowing what's going to happen next, I have to go back to another question that I know people are interested in. So this is a construction related business, you can obviously say. Mm-hmm. What percentage of all of your franchisees had any kind of construction experience, would you say? 10% or less?
I'd say less than 10%.
Less than 10% had any kind of experience in the business. That kind of sums up that notion. I got a couple of other questions for you. Let's talk a little bit about how you leverage technology, because, people always want to value, like, why should I do a franchise? Why should I do this franchise? So in your case, how are you leveraging technology?
Oh man, our tech stack, by all accounts, is extremely advanced, because what we do is from start to finish, we've developed it with the very busy, fast-growing franchisee in mind. So the whole purpose of technology is not only to perform functions, but also of a business, from prospecting to getting the work done and invoicing, all that kind of stuff, but also to be able to do it at scale. So people want to know, I want to grow a business, I want to make a lot of money to do it. it's very difficult to do it without a proper tech stack. And we're very proud of what we built out. So starting from the, even the prospecting phase, or even coming off of our call center or off the website, any lead that comes in gets pumped into their CRM system, which automatically, you barely even have to touch it, right? As you even perform, just basic things like when you put together a proposal and send that out to the client, the CRM software knows that has occurred. And so it kind of moves everything out there. So you're able to manage those mass amounts of relationships utilizing, some industry leading technology, and automation powers it behind it. So you barely have to touch it. Then once that client says, hey, yeah, I'm good to go, let's get this work done, the system knows when that happens, and it actually goes and pumps it into our operations software. And here's where it gets really exciting. We're getting so much data out of this that we're able to analyze these KPIs, these key performance indicators, that we're able to even see, okay, you win 57% of your projects that you bid, and you are generating a 50% gross margin on these here. And so it's like, and then you're able to track which clients did you price pretty well, or which ones are maybe, if you didn't hit that gross margin that you wanted, it lets you manage. Why is that? Did I price it too low, or did my crew stop and get a Slurpee or something like that? Being able to manage that, it just lets you have so much more control over your business, instead of just sitting and hoping and being able to say, I hope things are going to go well today. And then
hope is not a strategy. We know
right.
that.
That's right. And so all these systems didn't just come off the shelf and just be plugged in. These were all built specifically for our needs. And in fact, we had to go and develop some of our own software because we kept breaking some. And so we just had we had to come up with our own solutions to be able to allow our franchisees to grow at the rate that they were just bursting at the seams. And so we're like, okay, here's the technology to be able to just grow right out of the gate, and to add onto their team with as much assistance as possible.
I love that you're not settling. You just, if you max out the systems, if you will, you need to develop something new. There's nothing wrong with that. And the franchisee is not waking up in the middle of the night worrying about that R&D project. That's on your plate, the visionary. I love it, John.
Oh, absolutely. And having run the original location myself, these are all tools that I wanted, I needed for me to be able to grow at the rate. So that's my personality. I'm a high performer. Everything I've gone into has, I've been able to get up into the upper percentages of performance, if not the top. And I think that this really translates into really just a demand for operational excellence, not only to our clients that Everline provides, but also to our franchisees. And having been a franchisee myself, and having written that royalty check, having written that check for the franchise fee, I remember very clearly when it was when I knew that I was getting great value, and I remember very clearly as well when I was not getting value. And so that is really my main focus for myself as a leader of the organization, but also to our entire leadership team.
I love it. It's all about value. The people out there that are wondering, is a franchise right for me? I pay a franchise fee, I pay royalties. Well, guess what? It's all about that value. You're getting a heck of a lot and then some in return.
Well, I've had that benefit of being a franchisee myself, paying the royalty fees, getting that base experience, then going off and starting a standalone business with a license, which is different, but then going back into the franchising space because it's, because of all these benefits that are there, the value that it brings. The whole point is people think, hey, there's a royalty fee. That's just a dead cost. Absolutely not. You're getting so much value. And it's a concept that we use internally called royalty return. We make sure that for every dollar that a franchisee spends on royalty, that they are getting a return for that. It's a KPI that we do that we follow internally. So say, for example, that everyone's getting a discount on their traffic paint because we're such a large buyer versus their competitors. They're paying $25 less than our competitors per pail. They use X amount per year. That's tens of thousands of dollars, if not more than that, depending on your size. And it grows out from there. So it's one of these things that we track internally to make sure that this is not a dead cost, that you're actually making money by paying that royalty.
So what is that royalty return? What is it running these days? For every dollar they pay in royalty.
Yeah, for every dollar that we're paying in royalty, we're seeing about $1.30 back.
I love it. Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about this proprietary preventative pavement maintenance program. That's a mouthful. But talk about that.
So in the past, in this industry, it's always when a property manager has a pothole or needs to get their line striped, they just go outside and they notice, hey, I guess this needs to get done. Or somebody, worse yet, somebody trips and falls, or there's a safety instance related, a liability related incident, and they get a knock on the door for a lawsuit, and then they do something about it. So that's what we call a reactive, method, and it actually costs way more money to do that versus what we call the preventative pavement maintenance program. And our tagline at Everline is we want our clients to rethink pavement maintenance. So when we say rethinking pavement maintenance, it's looking at their pavement as an asset versus something that's just sit there and they'll just deal with it as they go. If they need to be able, it's a massive it costs millions of dollars to repave a shopping mall. But if we were to maintain it, you can save like $1 million a year in capital expense, depending on the size of everything. Yep. And so it's the way that we present all of our services in more of a gradual, more longer term relationship that we have with our clients to generate more, more year-over-year contracts, but also saving them money, keeping consistent work with you, and growing your business that way.
Yeah, no, this makes perfect sense, because any asset, whether it's your house, whether it's a nice car, you have to maintain it properly. Otherwise, you lose that value.
That's right. That's right. And that's what a key element of our marketing materials and our sales process is saying, yep, I can come and restripe your lines, or I can come and, seal coat your parking lot, make it look great. But have you considered the long-term effect of this service? And let's rethink this whole strategy, because I think we can save you money in the long term. And all of those things come together and just, provides a much greater value proposition. We're selling savings.
I love it. So basically, let's sum up a little bit. You already told us under $150,000 investment. I happen to know that every great brand is on the SBA registry. You'll be able to get SBA financing for this particular brand. An SBA Express loan these days for $150,000 is $17,000 down, and you just have to have $50,000 in reserves in the bank, and you get your $150,000 with just $17,000 down. So I think everyone listening could figure out in the long term how to get a $150,000 SBA loan with only a 680 credit score. So you're in the right spot. Is everybody listening in the right spot for this particular franchise? So final words, John, final words of wisdom, final thoughts. Everline Coatings is obviously an amazing brand, certainly a disruptor, smoothing out America, filling in those gaps. I mean, I'll come up with some other goofy things to say in a second. But tell me your final thoughts, final words of wisdom for those listening.
Well, to me, number one, if you're listening and you're on the hunt for your next opportunity, I'm so thrilled that you're considering franchising or strongly considering or even lukewarm even into it. I mean, my entire life has been built around this industry, and the stories of success that I've seen out of our franchisees, the exciting milestones our franchisees have been able to hit in their lives, like young people, this is their first business getting started, buying a house, getting married, having children, franchisees buying their second or third houses, things like that. All these exciting things are wind beneath my wings, and it's only really possible by being able to be able to grow together. That's it. Is that we've been able to utilize the experience that we've been generating. Having been a very franchisee centric culture has been instrumental to that. And whether it's Everline is right for you or another franchise system, there's a lot of phenomenal systems out there, and I'm just so excited for you, Sue. So keep it up.
John, that was a great summation. I just realized something rather important that comes up often in my conversations with prospective franchisees that I think you're duly set up for is semi-absentee ownership. Mm-hmm. I know you have some owner-operators, but which basically run the business full time, and then you have other people that might start off a little more full time, but then hand the keys, so to speak, to a manager. Talk a little bit about that before we sign off today.
Absolutely. So that's what I had to do for the original Everline branch in Calgary for me to be able to focus on the franchising side. We've had franchisees do that same thing where they started off owner operator and they were able to grow it and hand it off to a general manager or a team right after that. Now we have had franchisees even start off with that model there as well. So with what makes it all possible is that tech system and all the everything in between to be able to make it run. You train them in the systems and they follow the systems. You're going to have an operating enterprise at that point there. It's just really critical that with the general manager that they are the right person in the right seat. That's the really important element. But then of course you have methods of just being able to share the success of the unit with those general managers, because starting and running a business with all the moving parts and strategizing it, and if they're the ones really responsible for it, they need to share in that in the rewards of that. So I've heard people say, "Yeah, let's have someone else run it." That is easier said than done. There's a lot of soul searching and connecting with that person you're going to have run it. And I think that we've had great success with it. It's just a matter of just really doing your homework on the people that you have, and we help with that. So it's just a matter of just making sure you got our ducks in a row and that everybody's ready to rock, because that is a partnership, and we strongly encourage that, of course.
Like you said, the right people in the right seat. John Evans, founder and CEO of Everline Coatings, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story, and so happy for your success.
Oh, thank you so much, Lance. And always a pleasure to come on and talk franchising. I'm biased. It's my favorite topic. So it's great.
Of course. Take care. Thanks again, John.
Thanks, Lance.
Thank you very much for listening today. Please like, follow, and subscribe. This is Lance Graulich. Until next time.